The Golden State Warriors just got great news on 2024 NBA Media Day. The season is around the corner, and this kind of kicks things off. We're going to touch on everything we heard from Warriors Media Day on today's show. But before we do, make sure you guys are subscribed to the channel, Warriors Today by Chat Sports. We got you covered with everything all season long. Daily Golden State Warriors content like you're not going to find anywhere else on YouTube. Subscribe to the channel. Join the ride. It's going to be a great season. YouTube.com/WarriorsTV. What's going on, Dub Nation? You're watching Warriors Today by Chat Sports. I am your host, Tyler Smith, and the Golden State Warriors just got great news because 2024 NBA Media Day is here. We heard from a ton of members of this Golden State Warriors roster and what their outlooks are on the 24-25 season, and that's really the main piece of great news, right? Golden State Warriors Hoops is back. It's been a long offseason filled with a lot of empty promises, rumors that never really got off the ground, and now here we are, new roster, new season. It's on the cusp, and Golden State Warriors preseason starts this week, October 4th. They're headed to Hawaii right now, just after leaving the Chase Center. But the real great news in this whole scenario here is we got guys looking ready for the new season. We got Gary Payton II saying his body feels like he's back to 100%. He's going to be available for the start of the season. We got Buddy Hield saying that he's so excited to play in this system of basketball that the Warriors have ran for the past decade. Kyle Anderson said he's ready to play with legends on the court like Stephen Curry and Draymond Green. And, you know, you have a Warriors roster here that's filled with guys who are ready to compete. Jonathan Kuminga is going to be playing for a contract, as well as Moses Moody. Both of them are up for extensions. DeAnthony Melton, he was valued at a ton more money than he ended up getting paid this summer because of injury. He's going to have to bring his stock back up on a Warriors team this season. Brandin Podziemski, what kind of leap is he going to take in year two? Andrew Wiggins, is he going to return back to the form that we saw him back in 2022? Well, the coaching staff wants to see that from him. We'll talk about that in just a minute. But, man, Golden State has a ton of guys, a team that's really deep in my opinion, but there are some things we got to talk about ahead of the 2024-25 NBA season. So what did we learn from Media Day? We learned that Jonathan Kuminga is not fazed by the looming contract extension deadline that he and Moses Moody have coming up here. Now, we know that, you know, it's a situation that's been kind of fluid, right? And the Golden State Warriors, they're not really looking to give Jonathan Kuminga the max contract that he's looking for, right? We know that the deadline to extend for Kuminga and Moody is October 21st, the day before the start of the 2024-25 season. But Jonathan Kuminga just doesn't seem too concerned with the fact that that deadline is looming and that it may pass without him not getting that big-time contract extension. Here's what Kuminga had to say during Media Day. He said, "I don't know what's going to happen. It would be good, but that's not my concern. I'm just happy to be there, happy to start a new season, not really concerned about it. If I get it, if I don't, it's cool." And that's kind of the mentality that I'm looking for from Jonathan Kuminga, right? What he said later on during his media questioning, he said about the new season, "I'm itching. I can't wait." Now, I'm glad to hear that from Jonathan Kuminga because he took a big-time leap last season, and we're looking for a big-time leap this season as Klay Thompson departs from that number 2 scoring role for this Golden State Warriors team. Jonathan Kuminga took the leap to 16 points per game last year. It's going to have to be a bigger leap this year, maybe to about 20 points per night. And if he gets the opportunity, we know that he can put up those type of numbers. Look at his numbers per 36 last year. 22 points a night, 6.5 boards, 3 assists, and 53% field goal percentage. If he keeps those efficiencies up and really takes some strides with his outside shot and a little bit of shot creation, Jonathan Kuminga can have a massive season. No 21-year-old has ever put up this stat line per 36 minutes per game in NBA history. Hopefully, Jonathan Kuminga can break more barriers in 24-25. Now, what did Draymond Green have to say about Jonathan Kuminga when he got on the podium and was asked about his teammates? He said, "Jonathan Kuminga, all-star." Listen, if Golden State's got a couple of all-stars on the roster this year, maybe the season outlook could be a little different. Maybe we're the contender that nobody's thinking about this upcoming season. That has all dependent on the young talent on this team, including Jonathan Kuminga. Let me know down in the comments. Do you think Jonathan Kuminga is going to be an all-star? Do you agree with Draymond Green? This is going to be the pinned comment on today's video. So YouTube's going to throw you an ad break here. Go down in the comment section, type while that ad is playing, type Y for yes, type N for no on whether Kuminga is going to be an all-star or not. Next on what we learned from Media Day, and this is something that might concern me a little bit. This might be anti-great news if you're asking me. Kyle Anderson, he's going to be playing the center position this season. Well, we just heard from Draymond Green of what he thinks of Jonathan Kuminga. Here's what he thinks of Kyle Anderson playing the 5-man. This is our guy Anthony Slater. Listen, we're going to be going back to Anthony Slater a bunch during this video because he was boots on the ground in the Chase Center today asking the hard-hitting questions that we need to know. Shout out to my guy Slate. Kyle Anderson played with Gobert and Towns in Minnesota. Now he's a part of an undersized Warriors front court. Draymond Green's been telling him, "You a center now." I don't know if that's honestly something that we should be looking forward to as Warriors fans. I mean, look at the front court here. It's a bunch of small players. There's nobody above 7 foot. The only 7-footer Golden State is on the roster is a two-way player who they just signed last week. Their number 52 overall draft pick, Quentin Post. There isn't a lot of rim protection here, but offensively, I do like Kyle Anderson at the 5 man. Running out of the high post, kicking out to open shooters, slowing things down, and being another guy who can handle the ball in the Golden State offense because there are so few. And Kyle Anderson, offensively, he keeps things moving. He's just a good facilitator. He can knock down an open shot, and Golden State is looking for him to be able to knock down open shots because 2 seasons ago, the guy was honestly a sharpshooter from distance. He shot 41% from deep range in 2022-23, but apparently there were some mechanical issues with his jumper that made him reassess what he had going on offensively this offseason, and he says he's back and should be able to get back to that kind of level of efficiency from deep range. But I'm concerned about the defensive impact of Kyle Anderson playing a lot of minutes at the center. Golden State is going to need to find some size at some point this season. Next up, Andrew Wiggins. Talked about him before, about how hungry he is to get back on the basketball floor, and he knows that this is a season where he's going to have to basically look back to his 2022 version and then improve upon that because the depth on this team just doesn't go very high outside of Stephen Curry when you're talking about number 2 options. Now, he started off Media Day today. Here's what Slater had to say. He said, a low-key Andrew Wiggins interview opens Golden State Warriors Media Day. Asked if he needs to score more for the team. He said, more than I did last year for sure when he contributed 13.2 points per game. And that's one of his low points in his career, not going to lie. Said he needs to be better efficiency and aggression-wise. Kerr said he wants more usage. Andrew Wiggins was like, I need to be better in all of the above, in every single area, offense and defense. And he's right. He's slacked. He's significantly dropped off in the defensive department from where we saw him 3 years ago when he was D'ing up Jason Tatum in the finals like nobody we've seen on the wing over the past couple of seasons. And he was knocking down threes at nearly a 40% clip. We haven't seen that version of Andrew Wiggins in quite some time. Now, he has dealt with a bunch of personal issues. I feel for Andrew Wiggins, but it's put up or shut up time. You get paid $26 million a year to go play basketball for the Golden State Warriors. You need to perform. You need to produce. Here is what Kerith Burke had to say. She was doing great coverage as well from the Chase Center today. Steve Kerr told her that he'd like Andrew Wiggins to shoot about 6 threes a game, not a volume that he's been used to in his career. The offense will feature Wiggs more, giving him an opportunity to emerge as the team's number 2 scoring option. Interesting. We've talked about that at length all summer long about who the Golden State Warriors' number 2 scoring option is. Looks like Golden State, Steve Kerr, the coaching staff, they have pegged Andrew Wiggins to be that guy to open up the season. That could always change as things go on. Guys could get hot, guys could get not. And who knows, Andrew Wiggins, maybe he returns back to that 2022 form, but I don't love him as a number 2 at this point. And that was the concern I had all summer long. But hey, we can still have a successful season. We can still right the ship. If you want this Golden State Warriors season to be a success, go down below and hit that thumbs up icon for me. Make it heard. Make yourself heard, Dub Nation. If we get a bunch of likes on this video, then that'll make me a little bit more positive. That'll make me have a little better thought process about this Golden State Warriors team that you guys think we can be a successful roster. Now, before we get into the last 2 things that we're going to talk about from Media Day, had to get you guys stripped out, swagged out with this fresh Warriors polo, which is available in a bunch of different colors as well. The yellow, the black, the blue, the gray. Does not matter. You can get it today at this link below, chatsports.com/Warriors polo. You might even stumble across a 25% off sale if you go get them now. So go get freshed out this fall. Chatsports.com/Warriors polo. Season's less than a month away. Go get yours today. So next up, these last 2 news nuggets from Media Day and Golden State are going to be Steph Curry centric because guess what? At the end of the day, you think Golden State Warriors, you think Stephen Curry, and that's going to continue heading into year 15 for Steph. Everything revolves around Stephen Curry. Listen, it's one of these situations where you just know you're in the presence of greatness. You know you're in the presence of a top 10 basketball player that's ever graced God's green earth. Kyle Anderson, first thing he noticed when he was playing on-ball 5-on-5 action with the Golden State Warriors. Shout out Monty Poole, by the way. He noticed that there's a difference, a big-time difference, being on the court with Stephen Curry and being off the court with Stephen Curry. And we know this, right? Golden State, superstar-wise, they don't really have many. There isn't a ton of superstar talent on Golden State's roster outside of 30. I mean, this is the question we've been asking ourselves all summer long. And now we know that it's likely to be Andrew Wiggins to at least start things off this season as the number 2 option. But man, on the basketball court, defenses are going to be keying in on Stephen Curry. I'm excited to see what offenses Golden State can draw up to free him up in space to get away from many double teams that I think he may face this season. But man, one of these guys, one of these four guys, they're going to have to step up big time in order to support Stephen Curry. Listen, this roster's got a lot of ping pong balls. This roster is lottery bound, and they are high up in the lottery without Stephen Curry. They better thank their good Lord and Savior that he's a part of this roster. He might be carrying them for yet another season. And then he's kind of carrying them off the court as well as on the court, of course. Brandin Podziemski is taking life advice from Stephen Curry as well. He said, everything he does the right way. And so anytime I have questions about anything non-basketball related, he's kind of the first teammate I go to and ask. He's done a great job of sharing those little things that can help me down the road. Listen, Stephen Curry, he helps this Warriors roster on the court. He helps this Warriors roster off the court. He is the Golden State Warriors, so you better treat him as such. You gave him the 1-year extension. He's in town another year. Maybe think about putting some talent around him, because the last thing we were talking about on today's show from Media Day, Steph knows. Steph knows this team might not be good enough to win a championship. Steph knows that there might not be enough talent on this roster around him in order to really seriously chase for ring number 5. Remember what we heard a couple days ago from Anthony Slater in his big article from touching on what Mike Dunleavy and Steve Kerr had to say to the media? So there's a consensus belief around this front office that Golden State's not a title team, that they're not. And you know who else knows that? Stephen Curry. He talks to the front office. He helps make decisions, roster, personnel-wise. And here's what he had to say about where this Golden State roster is right now. He said only one team gets to say, yeah, we had championship aspirations. I think we're in that position where we can be a relevant team early. We can give ourselves a chance to compete, then assess where we are. Steph, you're not a good liar, man. Yeah, honestly, you're not a good liar. What that means is that Golden State, they're going to see where they are at the beginning of the season. What Steph probably believes and what they probably believe is that they're not going to be a competitive team as far as being in the upper echelon of Western Conference powerhouses like a Minnesota, like an OKC. They're not going to be up there. They're not going to be just to the strength, to the playing power of those rosters. And they're going to assess, and there's going to be activity into the late winter and around the trade deadline. Stephen Curry knows that the years in the NBA, he's on his last couple. He's going to need some more talent around the roster. Here's actually what he had to say about his extension, which kind of brought more light to how I think Steph feels about this roster. He said, very confident, and this before he said this, he was like, being a Warrior for life, that always has and continues to be the goal. He said, very confident in the fact that being here and being a relatively winning team is possible. What is a relatively winning team, Steph? I'm not sure. Is it making the play-in every season, or is it contending for a championship? That's what you should be prioritizing at this point in your career. If you're fine with the legacy you've left, if you're fine not really seriously contending for the rest of your career, that's all right. Ride it off into the sunset, and we won't have any problems with it. You brought 4 championships to Golden State. But I think you should be prioritizing big-time talent around you because you are still a big-time talent. Now, with that being said, prediction time. What seed will the Warriors be in the West? When we're talking about Steph saying those comments we just read, what is relatively winning? What seed will the Golden State Warriors end up this year in the West? Let me know down in the comments section. I'm trying to hear from Dub Nation. And that'll do it for today's edition of Golden State Warriors Today by Chat Sports. Like I said earlier, make sure you are subscribed because we're bringing you around the clock, nonstop coverage of your Golden State Warriors all season long. YouTube.com/WarriorsTV. We'll see you in the next one. Let's go, Dubs.